Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Before I introduce you to our guest, here is a quote just for this episode. Everything that happens to you is a form of instruction if you pay attention. Robert Greene. Our guest today is one who pays attention. Former winner at corporate America, current winner at America, the American dream, real estate investor, accountability coach, mentor, friend of the Culture Matters podcast, entrepreneur, recovering corporate winner, founder of Rush-In Motivation. You know the Culture Matters podcast. You've seen Greg Rushin before, and you know that we're about to do push-ups. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can verify by watching, but if not, you're gonna have to trust the counting and just like Reagan said, trust but verify. You can verify with how without and you can verify by how we look, but you can't see us, so you can't verify. Greg, thanks for coming back on the show, man. How many push-ups are we starting this podcast with today?
Let's start it with 25. Let's get a good warm up. Let's get winded for our guests, for the
Yeah.
listeners, so they know.
You want to count us in?
Yeah, sure.
All right. We're gonna do it. Just drop my laptop, of course. I see that axe. I gotta ask you about that thing on the
It's just the desk.
Oh, I thought that was an axe or something. Right. You ready? Let's do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
Oh my God. I gotta take my watch off for this. So that was deeply painful compared to last time. Clearly this is what happens when I stop doing push-ups every day like that. Oh my God, that was so difficult. I almost didn't make it. Because push-ups are hard. How do you get started? What's your advice for people that are thinking, I can't do 25 push-ups. I'm not, why even bother? I'm busy. I have all this stuff, you know?
I think it's a daily goal. If you want to get 25 push-ups, you don't need to do it right then and there like we did. I'm winded, you're winded.
I'm dying.
If you drop down in the morning and get 5, do 5 in the afternoon, do 5 mid-afternoon, do 5 before bed. And then all of a sudden you're at 20 for the day. It's those markers. Put the markers out there, work toward it, and hit them. Then pretty soon you're gonna be doing 25 a set, like we just did.
What do you think the power of accountability really is?
Well, you've often heard the quote, the promises you make to yourself are the easiest ones to break.
Huh.
Because we don't hold ourselves accountable like we should. But when you spit that promise out into the open to somebody else, there's a power within you that knows that I need to get that done because that person that I told about it is going to hold me accountable.
Hmm. That makes me think like I can lie to myself, but it's hard. I can't lie to you.
Right. It goes for so many different things in life too. The little lies that we brush under the carpet for ourselves, nobody really knows about them, and we don't hold a whole lot of merit to them. But if we can get them out in the open and tell somebody about them, chances are we're just going to do it ourselves, even without that accountability, because we made that promise to somebody.
Yeah, I put it out there that I was going to do 600 recordings. I guess I need to do it now.
You have to.
But what are the consequences if I don't? What are the consequences if I don't?
Then I think you're probably going to live in a little bit of regret. And regret weighs so much more than the disciplines that it takes to make sure they're done. Because when you put those disciplines in to make sure that those 600 are done, you're going to feel good about it. You're not going to have the regret, but then you're going to realize through those disciplines and those actions, you grew into a person who can achieve more and become more.
I wonder, let's say that I fail, but I gave my best. What are your thoughts? Did I fail? I mean, sometimes I'll make up, no, I'll make up things that, I don't even know if I can, I don't know if I can even accomplish them. Even the 600, so this is number 99, I think. It's April 17th. Can I actually accomplish this? It's January, February, March, it's April. So we're 3 months and 17 days. I don't know how many days are in each of those months off the top of my head.
So you're going to have to pick it up a little.
It already looks like I'm behind.
Yeah.
I'm glad this is recorded because now we can look and see, right? It's like it's a pretty serious level of accountability. I mean, how many days are left in the year? Let's look it up. How many days are left? How many days are left in 2024? It says 258 days. So I need 501. 501 divided by 258 is 1.941. 1.941 per day. We did times 7. 13.59. 14 a week. I need 14 a week to succeed at that. By the way, that's like going on podcasts and being a host. I'm aiming for 150 as a guest.
Okay.
But that's hard because being a guest means I'm not in control.
That's right. Yeah, you're not in control of it.
And I can't just go on your podcast 30 times.
Yeah, I knew you were going to hit me with that.
Well, it's accountability. But then again, it's not accountability because it's not like you said, oh, I want to get started a show. Right. I just so that's not really accountability. I think that's just being a dick.
There's a level of accountability there, though.
I'm imposing there is a difference. You have never said, oh, yeah, I want to do it. I'm just being a dick. You were going to say something, though.
Let's take the 150 that you don't have control of. That's a goal that you have. So now you have it out in the open that you're going to do 150. And you had mentioned earlier about the 600. What if I don't hit it? What if I give it my best and I don't hit it? And I use a lot of those simple logics, just like you said, when I'm doing goal setting exercises with clients. It's okay to throw a goal out there that might be a little bit drastic, because rather than looking at it as a goal set and something that you must achieve as a goal, I always like to look at goals as growth sets. Because if you put 600 out there and you work toward that with the disciplines in place to get you there, and say, for instance, you only wind up on 100 shows, and because of that deficit of 50, you're going to fall shy of your goal, and you did give it your all, do you think that you grew into a bigger, more powerful person throughout those disciplines and working toward that? Yeah. I think the answer is for sure you did. So was it a failure because you didn't hit it? I don't think so. And I think sometimes the astronomical goals try and pull us toward directions that we didn't even think of were possible for us. And I think that's a good example of that. You might not have control of it all, but if you can put in place everything that you can in your power to get there, and if you do fall short, you're still going to be a much better person because of it.
What comes from just writing it down or thinking about it?
I'm looking at a vision board that I have on my wall, and
Huh.
I think it goes back to that accountability. If it's not written down, and if it's just thought about, it's one of those promises that can go undetected and kind of go under the radar. I think having a visual is extremely important. And I remember the first successful set of goals that I put down was in an Excel spreadsheet, and it worked for me. But that was at the time where I was involved in Excel spreadsheets on a very regular basis for my work. I was always diving into them. And I realized I don't even like looking at Excel spreadsheets. I do it for work because I have to, but it's not what I enjoy looking at, not what I enjoy working with. It's a good tool, but why are my goals in something that I don't even enjoy opening? And then that's kind of when I went to a vision board. And the vision board was fun for me because there's one item on the vision board that I simply Google imaged check mark, printed out a big red check mark that I found on Google, got a glue stick out like a little kid doing an art project, and pasted it right on top of the picture.
Wow.
And that to me is fun. It's tangible. I can touch it. I can see it. I look at it every day. And that is a much more fun exercise than looking at a spreadsheet for me. However, the spreadsheet worked for many years for me. And I think anytime it's written down and made more into a visual than an actual thought, it can come to fruition much easier.
How would you advise someone to start a vision board?
I really like to design things backwards because I think when you design things backwards, you get a really clear picture for not only where you're going to go, but how you're going to get there. So if there's an ideal life situation of how you want to live your life, that could be broken down on a vision board. Say, for instance, you might want to achieve something crazy and you want a big yacht. In order to obtain that big yacht, that might be on your vision board, but in order to obtain that, what does that look like? What does it look like from a personal development standpoint, from an economic standpoint? And then you kind of backtrack. Well, in order to get that, I need X amount of income. How am I going to get that income? Maybe it's by buying real estate properties. So maybe you have a bunch of real estate properties on your vision board. How am I going to get there from a personal development standpoint? Well, it might be you want to read X amount of pages per day that help pull you in that direction. So a picture of a book on the vision board. Maybe you know that you need more time in your day in order to allocate yourself toward exercises to work toward that big picture item. So maybe there's an alarm clock on that vision board to hold you accountable for waking up at a certain specific time every day. So I like reaching out there and kind of working back, because when you work back, you uncover what type of economic situation you need to have, what type of personal development situation you need to have, and what does that look like?
How often do you look at your vision board?
Every day. I'm in my office every day.
Wow. And is it like is it time for reflection, or is it just glancing?
I think it's time for a reflection. Sometimes it's just nice to look at. If it's glancing, it's looking at the things like the check mark, because that's what propels a little bit of motivation. But reflection, it kind of puts it into perspective as to where you were going. You might not be on that right track at the moment, but that's where you were going, and you have a purpose to go there. And it kind of brings you back on track, especially when you do slide off track. I think we're all guilty of it. Nobody's perfect. And it's like, yeah, you know what? I was going to tackle that because that meant the achievement of that, which would probably lead to that. So am I really on track?
Let's see here. let's do, so it was 258. The goal is 150. So 258 divided by 150. Um, oh wait, no, I did that backwards. Should be 150 divided by 258. That's, I'm trying to let's figure out how. So 0.581, 0.58 times 7 is basically four guest appearances a week for the rest of the year.
See, that's a much easier number to stomach than 150.
It sure is. Already I'm like excited.
And it kind of goes back to the push-up thing. How can somebody do 25 push-ups? Well, there's a lot of people that can, but there's a lot of people that can't. And if you break that 25 down the same way you broke down the number of shows you need to be on in a week, all of a sudden it becomes a picture that's easier to see. It's like, you know what? I can do 4 push-ups. I can do 3. So you get those done. And then an hour later, you're like, I bet I can do another 3. I bet I can. And then all of a sudden you're doing 5 at a time. And you're doing 10 at a time. And then you're doing 25 in the morning, 25 in the afternoon, 25 in the late afternoon, 25 before bed, and you have 100 for the day.
My next thought is for a week. Okay, let's just say a month. All right, that's 16. Do I know 16 people that have a podcast? I absolutely freaking do. Can I get, I just almost fell off my chair. Uh, and then I'll just message them. Well, I mean, it's a little self-serving. It's like, what can I do? How does it help? I guess of the people I know, which do I fit? Right. Where I'm not just self-servingly trying to j- jump down their throat, which makes sense. And I want to, I want to ask them, I want to try to schedule them that first month to get momentum.
There you go.
I might not even try to sparse it out like 4 a week because I can't have that much control. I might just try to get them all done as quickly as possible so I have momentum. But which makes sense for me to go on is like an ethical thing. I'm thinking about them too. I'm not just treating them like a means to an end. They're an end in themselves, right? It's a relationship. So let's say 8 of them say, yeah, come on. So I'm going to do 8 as soon as possible and do a good job and ask them, what hosts they know. I might not even have to go on 100. So that's the thing is I don't need to go on 150 different people's shows. Because the reason I don't think that is because I don't like to have random. I like to have regular guests. Like now,
Right.
So because it's a culture, right? It's a relationship. How
Right.
many the look? All of our conversation are different. This is like a live. This is like me talking to one of my advisors. The customer, yeah, the audience gets to listen because we're unpacking this together. Like,
Exactly.
it's real. It's I my point is the 150 is even more clear to me because I might not I don't have to go on 150 random shows.
Sure.
Maybe it ends up being 32. If how many yeah, if you've been on the show 4 times in the last year at least.
Yeah, I think 4 or 5.
So 150 divided by 4 is 37 and a half. So it's really 37 shows. Do I know now? Of course, I do actually know over 40 hosts. Are they all going to let me go on? Maybe not. Let's say half do. Would they want 4? No, that would bring me to 80. But there's no way they'd all want 4. No way. Right. But if 40 average at 1.5. That's 60. So like 1.5 times each. I'm still 90 away. That's how I'm like, I'm trying to break this down into something I could actually, and then it's, oh, what the hell am I going to talk about? I mean, should I have a shtick? Should I,
Well,
what do you think?
there's two pieces of that equation, right? How many of those would you reach out to that might have something that they would like you to talk about? It takes the thinking right out of it for you. And after all, it
It's
is their
them.
show. They might need you for something that you don't even realize at this
That
point.
idea. So I'm trying to write this in an order that the audience can follow. Maybe it'll help them in their own thinking, right? First was reduce it to the ridiculous.
For
We had
sure.
150, and we found out divided by the how many days left, we needed 4 a week or 16 in a month. So the question became, do I know 16, at least 16 hosts? And then who do I fit where it's reciprocal? And then you're saying, well, now I said, I want to try to get them all going. So if it's 8, great. I want to schedule them quickly. Maybe it's even in a week. Get momentum. And then you're saying, ask them what they wanted me to talk about. What could help their audience?
Exactly.
What could help their audience? Any other thoughts?
I just find it really ironic, almost funny that you asked me how to structure a vision board. You just did it. You put the goal out there, you worked backwards, you saw what steps needed to take place, you thought about how they need to take place, what needs to be done in order to get them in place. And now you have a very clear vision of how you're going to get there.
Well, I that's all I do all day long. I just drive myself crazy, but that's why I do the damn show.
But you're drawing maps for yourself.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
tough to
Oh,
get
yeah.
places without maps.
I live in the maps. Yeah, maps. That's why Jen asked me to stop putting. Well, I can't put all the the easel paper.
Yeah.
I used to have it all over the walls and the floor, but now we have concrete walls. So I
Uh-huh.
can't. But yeah, if people are watching this on the video that's on YouTube, you can watch it. You, there's no, I would stick the paper and like I like to see it visually. I don't consider that a vision board in the context that I'm not going to negate. You're right. But as far as like a vision board with that is something that because of our talks, I, I needed. I'm going to do that specific one again. I mean, I have one on my phone. Is like when people text me, if they have my number, they know what I'm talking about. Um, I didn't. I don't know if I told you this. In 2016, the watch I actually had on earlier. That was on my vision board then. Had a vision board.
That's
And
awesome.
Jenna bought me it. Surprised me. Never knew about that vision board. I didn't know it. Is that crazy?
That's manifesting right there.
It
Right?
was on the vision board.
Yeah.
There was a real estate property. There was a BMW, which I got a long time ago, got rid of it, but it was a great car while I had it. There was that Rolex, the Submariner, blue face. And that was it. That was all that I anyway. Yeah, she ended up surprising me with it, and it was exactly the one that was on there. So it's a great reminder, and I hope the audience picks up on that and really like takes that to heart. Like you could do something and get results, and then easily forget about it and stop doing it, even when you know that you got the results from it. And
Exactly.
you bring up a really good point, because these papers that I have everywhere that used to be on the wall in the office, like that's the vision. Yeah, that's the in a sense those are vision boards, you know.
They are.
Yeah. And like this plan of being on 150 podcasts, I want to, I'm already thinking, like, how can I perfect that? What am I missing? Right? Do I know 16 people? Who do I fit? What, like, you asked the question, that was great. What could help their audience? All right, like, if I go on the show, well, what's the next step? So what types of guests do they need? Right. I'll get you on a bunch of their shows, right? Helping other people, or what guests do they need? Who do I know that fits that? Can I make that introduction? If they give me one, I got to give them three because I'm neurotic. So, like, meaning if they say, "Oh, my buddy Bob has a show you should be on," and they make that happen, well, then I got to get them three people. So, like, now it's like, okay, make three intros for every one. Um, and then I'll just try to stack on how many more ideas, and then talk to people like you, right? Uh, what am I missing? Right? How can we improve this? If this is a plan that we're going to put into action, that the audience is going to, this is real time. So the audience is going to see, like, did we do that? Did we do it or not? Did I
Right.
do it? This is how we did it. This is the plan. It's here. It's live. Yeah.
Right.
And having somebody to talk to is invaluable, because it helps. I'm thinking out loud.
And I think you're going to see some momentum there too, because if you talk to those 16 people, how many people does that podcast reach as it airs? How many of those listeners also have podcasts or know somebody who has a podcast that might really enjoy your show and your content and might
Yeah.
reach out to their network of podcast hosts and say, this was really good content. Maybe you should check this guy out.
Hmm. Oh, you just
Some
gave me another
momentum.
idea. Who do I know that knows people? Because there's who I know that have a show. Then
Yeah,
there's who I know that knows people with a show.
right.
Like, people with shows. Tony knows people with shows. Ken, somebody else knows people with shows. This person, and then I need two lists. I need those that have shows, and those that don't, but know people with shows. Now it's not 16, it's like 72.
Right.
And if I'm asking, I'm giving them, or giving and then asking, like, I'm easy. I have an easier time giving than asking. The C in culture matters is give first, intend to help, get started today. Collaboration.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Give first, intend to get, and give first, intend to help is what I've been doing for 8 years. Haven't really done much of the get started today. Just not good at it. I mean, it's like Gary V's jab, 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 right hook, or whatever. Great book. Um, that comes easier to me. So have shows, list. I can't stress enough too for the audience to have people like Greg, and because I have a lot in my life, advisors, mentors, counsel, role models, paid and unpaid. That is all constructive energy that creates power, creates value. Like, if people are listening to this and they haven't tapped into that, they're missing out, and it kind of snowballs. Um, like this conversation that we're having is like, this is what builds
It's what
having
builds
somebody to
energy.
talk. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
It's what builds energy. I was working with a client today and he seems a little stuck at his current job. So we're working on that. And I just gave him some examples of some of that energy that I've created around myself. And I think he really understood the value of, okay, outside of my job and what I do every day, it's very powerful to network with other people and build relationships. And then you can kind of exist between the relationships, just as you're doing right now. Okay, I know 16 people, but how many people do they know that have shows? How many people do I know that don't have shows that know people that have shows? And then, like you said, it's just that energy that you're creating, that ball of energy around you that makes everything happen within your life.
I feel so much more clear on this random. So this was a meaningless, arbitrary goal. When did I text you that 150 thing? Was that yesterday morning?
This is Wednesday. It was this week, either Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah. So that's when it came in my mind, like, oh, I need to go on 150 podcasts. And I texted like maybe a dozen or so people that is like, copy paste. I need to, I need to tell people that are going to hold me to account. And I already got a bunch of people like, let's do this. I'm actually going on 2 podcasts. So technically it's 148, but
Good.
yeah, it's funny. But now that we're talking this through, right? It went from epiphany to action and account because I texted you and a bunch of people 150, said nothing else. Just people said, hey, I got something for you or this. And that I believe is because of just building relationships over time and trying to be helpful. Is if how I look at that. But now that we're talking in like an advisorial sense, I'm working out the plan, right? And now it's really go time because I haven't thought through the plan since at all. Actually, it's just right
Right.
now. And so the next thing I'll do, Greg, that actually brought this to awareness, like I will create a vision board in a sense, meaning I will put this on the wall on paper. Now, like I said, I can't put it I can't put it on these walls in the office, but we did just buy a vibe board. It's a smart easel. And
Okay.
yeah, Brian Hess, shout out to real Brian Hess, who's like pushing me to get one of these things. It's unbelievable. It's essentially an easel, electronic easel, and it saves forever and it's smart and whatever. So
What's
now
that called?
it's called the Vibe board, like VIBE Vibe. I recommend anybody listening to this Vibe board, and we've used it a whole lot. But essentially, it's going to go in the office here, and when I'm using it, I'll bring it out, and then I'll put it behind the bookshelf. And there's a giant one, and there's smaller ones, but that saves. It's like, and I like to see things visually, I guess, like you. And I'm going to make a visual representation of this. Have shows with the list, those that don't but know people with the list, and then how many people, and then I'll put like another list that says how many people do they know, they as in those with a show, and I'll do 1 to 30. Generally it starts like that and then it gets crazy and I have to stop because I make too many long of lists. But basically I'll make that and then I'll think about the people and I'll probably narrow down those that have shows from all of the ones I know to the ones that I think, like we said, that I think make the most sense. Go from 50 or 40 to 20. And then basically just I'll either text or call. See, that depends. Right now I'm working out like it depends on the ask. Text or call. It depends on how much goodwill. Because like a goodwill is like a bank account. You can't take too much out of the account. If there's nothing, then you're being a jerk. But I'll visually put it up and then just like go at it. I gotta hurry up because every day that goes by, that number of zero point 0.4, or what was it, 0.58? Yeah, times 7. That's gonna go up. So like a month from now, 9, 9 goes into 9, yeah, 10. Oh, 11. Yeah. A month from now, it'll be 11% higher each, something like that. Basically, the point is you have to compensate like crazy. So a month from now won't be 4 a week. It'll be like 5 a week. And then a month after that, it'll be like 7. And then because every day that we don't take action,
It'll compound for sure.
it'll compound against us like crazy.
Yeah.
Before you know it, I'm so fat that I can't lose the body fat, or I can't lose the water weight that would make me look like I was skinnier because I'm just so fat because I've just not worked out. Right. I've all this stored fat. So I have to take action on this in the morning early, or probably on a Word document tonight, or something. But I got to put a vision.
Jim Rohn has a quote for that stacking effect, the compounding effect that we were talking about.
What is it?
A week of neglect can take a year to repair.
Oh wow, that's good. A week of what? A week of neglect
can take a year to repair. And I don't think he's referring to specific time frames. He's referring to the fact that if you let something go, that compound effect that you were talking about takes hold, and then all of a sudden you're too fat. You can't lose the body fat to get it done. I think it really coincides well with what you just said. And I like that quote because every time that I think I can put something off, I think about the ripple effect and what it's going to do and how long it's going to take to repair that.
You know, you're right about that because when I do that, then I know I didn't, and then I get shame will kick in, which creates anxiety, and then that'll lead to more procrastination. It's like a terrible spiral downwards
It
procrastination.
really is.
And I mean, I have a couple little things that I have to do like right now, and like I'd like to do, but I am being pulled at all. I feel like I'm being spread over bread like butter. And so one of the things I've created to help me with this angst is I'll put things in my calendar. I'll put what I need to do in my calendar for like, let's say, so Saturday, for example, between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. There's a couple little things that I have to get done that were less priority than the bigger things yesterday, today, and tomorrow, based on all the damn podcasts I decided to record and other meetings that I am only I mean, I have limits to my ability to. I can only drink so much Celsius. So anyway, like that's something I'm curious to what your thoughts are on that, or if you have any thoughts or ideas. Like I'll put and I'll communicate if somebody else is involved. I'll let them know, like, hey, it'll be Saturday because that'll eat me up.
Right.
And I'm not saying like I need to do that. I'm not saying I used to do that. I do that more than ever because if somebody's involved, it'll eat me up, and then I'll start getting paranoid and thinking like, are they thinking that I didn't do it? And
right.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just the spiral of self deceit. And anyway, so that's something that comes up when you said what you said. My calendar. Oh, another thing I do is like all day long. I put everything's color coded in my calendar. So like everyone thing is a different color for a different reason. And like right now from the last podcast earlier, I make it red is the podcast confirmed, orange is tentative, green is done, and I'll change it in the phone, done, and I'll change the color. And I look at my calendar of the day and done, done, done. If it's not a podcast, I just put that green check mark. I did it. And I do that all day long. I'll turn things from orange to red, red to green. If it's rescheduled, it's yellow. And that's the thing. See how it's all green? It's the only way I can get through, a day that starts at like 6 or 5 and then goes till 9 or 10. I just like come up with these like, because I'm dying. Like I was dying before we got on this. I was dead. We did push-ups. I was like, okay, yeah, like I was dead.
Got the blood flowing.
I'm still, yeah.
Now, how much do you think that that organization right there that you have, those color coded things, how much do you think that that minimizes your angst and stress over something like that?
Oh my God.
Can you imagine if you didn't have that?
I'd probably be speaking more.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you wouldn't be doing the podcast, right? Because it would just be you wouldn't know where you wouldn't know where you exist within that. You
Yeah,
would
I
have
think
no
that's a
idea.
great point. I really do. I felt that it helps me keep momentum.
I bet.
Also, the color coding helps me because I'm of so much. I mean, anxiety is fueling this. It just becomes excitement because there's a plan and I'm doing things that I'm asking of myself and saying. So, yeah, to answer your question, it would be much more difficult. I think that's why I came up with it. This is recent. The checks are recent. The colors, a couple of years. Uh, but that's something that I do that may or may not be helpful to people listening. But I'll make. Oh, also it helps me organize. Like obviously, I could look back at yesterday, see how it's all green, or so I could figure out like
There we go. Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
could figure out. It's easier to look at and say, all right, how many podcasts were done this week, or how many meetings, or what did I miss, or what was rescheduled. It's like a quick thing. But the colors helps. Visual. I guess I'm a very visual person. Visual. I'm very visual and audible audio. I'm excited we had this. I didn't know what we were going to talk about, but this has been very helpful because
Yeah, it's
now
been good.
I know exactly what I need to do to. And this is how it always starts. And then I'm like, what the hell was I doing? There's 250 days left. Why is it not 250? Because I'm upset, like compulsive. I could do 258. There's 258 days left. Why am I not doing 258? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and then last year was like, my goal was 125 recordings and I did 268. But that's because of this behavior, whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing. Like now I have so much more confidence about the 150 because it's such an easy, ridiculous thing based on this conversation. And it's
That's
clearly the bitch goal. Yeah.
and I think for your listeners, it does it unpacks exactly what needs to be done in so many different aspects in life. You might have something you want to achieve, but how do you even go about it? It's as simple as that. Put a pen to paper, break it down. Like you said, reduce it to the ridiculous. What does it look like? How do we go about it? What are the actionable steps? And then it's time to go.
Yeah, it's literally time to go. That's when the alarm's going off. I got the trainer in 10 minutes. Who's been at, well, by the time this goes out, the audience will know Michael. He's the best. So go listen to that episode of the Culture Matters podcast, Michael Christensen. And that's one of my trainers because I have multiple personal trainers. Um, he's amazing. Greg, you're the boss. Another lesson, by the way, for this is there's a great book everybody should listen to, the $1 trillion Coach, about Bill. Um, man, oh, what did I just Bill, his name was Bill, and he worked with Steve Jobs and a couple of the other ones. Bill, we had a guest on that knew him actually, Jason Henderson. If you don't, you can Google the book $1 trillion Coach, but Jason Henderson's been on the podcast. Actually, he met Bill and really Bill Campbell. Here we go. That's why. See, bringing up Jason's name helped me remember. Help me remember. Bill Campbell. A lot of advisory coaching is listening and just giving people space to think through things. So it's a really great example of the value of that and planning and vision, this meeting today. So if you're listening to this, follow Greg, take a look at his stuff, listen to our other episodes together, where I was asking him questions about his life, so you can see other parts of him outside of his work. And leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast. Greg, final thoughts?
I think my final thoughts were exactly like this. Exactly what we listened to today, what we saw today on this podcast. Get an accountability partner and work through things. Talk through things. What does it look like? Design an action plan. Start from the end goal, work your way backwards, and you're going to uncover and unfold everything that needs to be done to get there. So put that into action and achieve what you need to achieve.
Thank you all for listening to this episode of the Culture Matters podcast.